We are live.
What's up, everybody? This is StoryHive on location in Vancouver with Vancity, Beats, Eats, and S'mores. My name is Kazi, the host of this show. We are broadcasting live on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, what we call Vancity. And today on the show, in the red hot seat, we've got the one and only Bryce Koebel, like Taco Bell, but Koebel. Yeah. A multidisciplinary creative who lives and breathes movement and visuals. With over 15 years of dance under his belt, Bryce has taught all over Vancouver and co-leads the competitive crew, Gigabots, known for their popping, animation, and hip-hop flavor. Behind the camera, he's filmed dance content around the globe for brands like Red Bull and Stance Elements. And if you're into filmmaking, lifestyle, or camera gear, you need to check out his growing YouTube channel. We're streaming straight from Red Bull HQ in Vancity right now in Gastown. I'm super excited to sit down with you, to talk about dance, to talk about travel, community, and whatever else comes up in this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I'm happy to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
Yes! It's funny because originally I had hit you up and I was like, also, did we just notice that these chairs swivel?
I know. I started swiveling and I was like, this is nice.
It's like a nice baby calming, like a cradle rock. You know, but
Sounds like a b-boy name.
Hey, yo, what's up? My name's Cradle Rock. That's actually so good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and it would be awesome if he was like a real big baby.
Yeah. Like,
you know,
looked like a baby, like baby face.
Yeah.
But he was just like
huge.
Yeah. That was his move.
That's it, right there.
I'm not a b-boy. I don't know.
And then the b-boy. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm like, this weather's weird. It's like rainy.
All week. It's been raining in Vancity.
That's what happens here. Why does Snoop Dogg? I already told this joke.
Say it for the live stream fam.
Why does Snoop Dogg carry around an umbrella?
Why?
For drizzle.
Anyways, you know, we're here to tell jokes, just all the knock-knock jokes on the show, on the live stream today. Mm-hmm. That's it, not getting to know you at all.
No, that's all I am, jokes, and that's it.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know this amazing, beautiful human being, Bryce, he is an important person in our dance community. I've seen you and have known you for a while, but we've never actually gotten to sit down and like solid chat for like an hour. That's and get true. To know more about your story and who you are. Like, for me, you've always been someone in proximity, Heavy Hitters crew, you know, good friends with Tutal, who's also been on the show. And, you know, and also obviously seeing you at dance events where you'd film and document. And yeah, I actually don't know the origin stories of Bryce Koebel, aka Wonder Bread.
Yeah, I know. Now, I mean, that's funny because I have known you for so long, but it's always been passing. We're like, how's life? And it's like, we'll give the elevator pitch of what we're doing in life. And then it's kind of like, all right, cool, see you later, because we're both doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now's my time.
Now's your time.
Now's my time with you.
Questions.
Well, I'd love to start with, you know, the very beginning. Like, who you were as a kid. Like, what do we need to know about who you were as a kid in order for us to understand who you are right here, right now?
That's crazy.
In other words, I'm just asking about your childhood, fam. Like,
honestly, fair. Yeah. It's weird because I've been like, I'm getting to that point in my life where like, when I look at photos of me as a kid, I like start to feel emotional where it's like, whoa, that feels like a long time ago now, you know? But
because we're in 30s now?
Yeah. 32.
Welcome to 30 plus wisdom club, as I like to say.
Club.
Yeah, because at this point, you just, either you're just like getting real dumb or you're actually applying everything you learn in your 20s and it's wisdom.
Yeah. I kind of see it like this is your body and then this is your head and like your body's like this, and then your mind is getting better.
Yeah. But your body is
But
just
your body's
degrading.
just like, all right, just putting all my energy up here now.
Oh my gosh. We were just saying right before we went live that Bryce, he asked us, like, did you guys know that you go through another puberty in your like late 20s, early 30s? I was like, yes, I do know this because many women have gone through it. And if you don't know, that is what's happening to you ladies. Like, why do I feel so crazy hormonal? Or why does like, you know, moon time, period time feel so much more intense? And you said that you went through another growth spurt as if like...
So I've been 6'2" since like grade 9. And then I just grew another inch this year, and then I also my voice got deeper, and I was just like, what is happening? I started getting
Give
acne.
us your best Barry White.
Barry White?
Yeah.
I actually don't
know who that is.
Off the top of my head, no.
I mean, he is a singer, and he's known for his like super bassy low, like sexy R&B soul, like, you know.
It's embarrassing. I'm sorry, I can't.
It's fine, but
I can do a pretty good Jason Statham if you ask me. You know.
Save the world, save me. That's actually pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways.
I almost swore too, and I was like, no, can't do that.
Can't do that. This is G-rated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying, in childhood, where did you grow up? How did dance enter your life? Let's keep it simple.
It's crazy. I like to think all the best dancers come from Surrey.
Ayo.
But I grew up. I was always like the odd one out, kind of like in my family too, and like in my school. Like I felt like I never really like fit in with like the crowd or like kids and stuff. Like I don't know. So I always just thought I was a little weird. But then I think I was just like, I was a very like introspective, creative kid. And then in high school, my neighbor Henry, who's like the guy that started Heavy Hitters, so he lives across the street from me. So we've always just like hung out, and we grew up playing together in the yard and like stuff like that. So he kind of introduced me to popping. He's like, oh, I'm learning this new thing, and he started learning from this guy named Trent popping liquid.
Heyo.
If you know who that is, you're an OG.
Yeah.
But so Trent actually, who is like popping liquid, he was teaching at our school, our high school. We had like a whole dance program.
Which high school did you go to?
Fleetwood.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Went to Fleetwood.
Yeah.
And Fleetwood's where, you know, like Victor Savage Rock came from. And so Victor was in the same generation as like, you know, like Jameson of like the Groovy Gentleman.
Yes.
And also like Poppin' Liquid, who was at our school. So they taught Henry. And there was a bunch of dancers there. Jim went to school. If you know B-Boy Jim.
Yes.
So yeah. So he went to our school too. There's a bunch of people, like so many different dancers. And so my brother actually got into breaking, and my brother was like learning like windmills and stuff from Victor. And then I was like, you know, younger brother syndrome, like I want to learn dance too. So I kind of got into it. And it was just like a really good outlet for me to kind of like just be creative. And I also felt like these were like the first friends where I was like, whoa, we all have something in common. And I just feel it was like easy to connect with people and stuff. And we all had similar humor. And I was like, I stood out a bit because I'm like really tall. So I was just like the tall white kid. And like amongst just a bunch of Filipinos. And I guess it was funny.
That's why you knew about Tita.
Yeah.
You grew up with Titas.
Yeah. I had like no white friends. It was just, I was, all kinds of friends. But honestly, like, it was that, but then I was also playing volleyball because of the height. So it was like, I had these two groups where it was like volleyball and then dance. So yeah, I pretty much danced all the way through high school. And then after high school, I met AJ Megaman, and he was going to like, I think Fraser Heights at the time. And so AJ was like, yo, I want to start a crew. And then Henry was like, let's start a crew. And then we just brought people that we knew who were poppers together and started dancing at like the Guildford Rec Center. And that place is still like iconic for dancing. Yeah, and it's just like one thing led to another. We just started like making routines together and like training a lot, and we just kept going. Like it went from this thing that we did for fun to like whoa, now we're like performing and like competing and traveling and like going to like different countries and, you know, battling and stuff. So it just slowly became a thing. But yeah, that's
amazing.
The origin.
The origin story. So
Yeah.
that would have been what, like early 2000s or?
So we started the crew in 2010. That's like when we all kind of graduated. So I would say like I started, I guess, in 2006. Yeah, when I started dancing. But I tried breaking at first, but I was like too tall and heavy, and I was just like, this hurts.
So then how did you feel with popping when you first started?
Versus
like, did you try anything else, like learn any other styles?
Not really. Like I did like the hip hop choreo that we did at school, but that always felt awkward too. Being tall is like really, really weird when you're a dancer, because like you have to like make all of your movements like, I mean, I guess you could say it's relative, but like if I'm doing like a groove, like to make it look like really like big, I have to over exaggerate it and make it look super big, or else like I get very like, I'm like, if I'm nervous, it's like I just keep it small, but then I don't know, anyways. But popping just felt more like interesting to me. Like I started watching, like there was like Salah and like these a lot of like dancers from Korea and Japan that were like doing crazy animation and stuff, and it was just very like, you know, when you see something and you're like, I like that, you know, not like, oh, I'm trying this thing, it's kind of fun, but then as soon as you see like the thing that you really like, and you kind of attach yourself to it, and that's how I felt. So it just made sense for my body too, because I didn't have to like do anything crazy, like any acrobatic stuff, right? I was just like, I could stand here and just like isolate my head, and people will be like, whoa, you know? Yeah, so, but it was a lot of tricks back then. It wasn't dancing, I would say.
That's sick.
You know?
So, you know, a lot of our people who watch the show are also TELUS subscribers, moms out there in Alberta, British Columbia. They don't know necessarily about what popping is, and it's evolved from when it was called pop and lock, right? Now popping has become its own umbrella.
Yeah.
You can give like a very brief just education on the popping umbrella, and then where you fall into that, and what you gravitate towards.
Yeah, popping is so interesting. Yeah, it really did start with, like, they were called, I mean, there's so many different places where it was kind of originating, pretty much in California. It was popping off in the Bay, but the guys that I'd say really, like, publicized it were, like, the Electric Boogaloos. They were the ones that, like, started touring China and, like, taking it worldwide, whereas you know, back in the 80s, it was just like a street dance. And like you maybe saw it on like the movie Breaking, but like that was like kind of, or you saw people like on the street busking, where it was like they're doing this for entertainment.
Yeah.
And to make money. But yeah, like I would say there was a lot of crews back in the day. The Electric Boogaloo Lockers, which is what they originally were, they originally like I think like one of the like media, like when they were doing a show, they were like, oh, that name's too long, and so then they ended up just doing the Electric Boogaloos. So that's how they kind of ended up getting that. But then there's also like other crews from like the Bay, which were like, they were doing just like a lot of high school shows. Like they all started in high school, and they would do like routines, like strutting routines, which are like very heavy, like choreography, where it's like you hit, you go all these lines and stuff, and then everything's like, it's all about like lines, it's all about like uniformity and entertainment through like costumes and stuff. Actually, like they used to wear like a lot of masks and stuff, and that's where like the Jabberwockies were inspired by the old strutters from the Bay.
Cool.
So like that's why they started wearing the masks too and stuff like that. So there was a lot of influences, and I think that popping didn't really start like getting universally like known till like the 2000s, really, when they were like, you know, YouTube was blowing up, because like everything back in the day was like cassette tapes and like VCR and stuff. But
or you had to go somewhere and you seen it in a club or seen it on the street, and then be taught by someone at a party.
Yeah, that was it. It was all that, and then once I think YouTube was the where everything blew up, and because then everyone were posting battle videos, and then a lot of like you got to know like a lot of like these big European battles too, right? And that's kind of where like people were like, oh, I'm gonna take this internationally. So the next generation of poppers, which were like the, you know, like Salah and like Boogie Frantic and like all of these guys that just sort of like learned from these OGs or like were inspired by the OGs and then kind of took it to the next level. And yeah, it's just kind of grown. It just keeps going, and there's always different generations that push the boundaries more, right? And now it's kind of like it's a very like internationally known thing, especially with like Red Bull putting like a lot of, you know, putting like MT Pop like within Red Bull now, where he's like he's just like really showcasing popping in like a worldwide, I guess, way.
Yeah.
But
where is MT Pop from?
So he's from Vietnam. But I mean, in the popping world, like he's been around. Like, you know, we've known about him for like 15 years, and he's been like known in our community for a long time. But this is where he's like really taking it internationally and getting all the exposure and everything. But yeah, there's so much to it. It's such a like, it's a very deep culture.
Yes.
You know, like.
And it has I mean, there's waving, there's animation, you know, and like dancers will specialize and really just go deep on one aspect or a few. For you, what is that?
It's true. Yeah, like I guess like heavy hitters, our main style was animation, and we learned it originally from Bop and Andre, and Bop and Andre was actually one of the first poppers in Vancouver. Like he moved here, and he was teaching, and he had a crew. And
what was Ultimate? Was it Ultimate Force? What was it?
God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
I
knowing
know.
this.
Oh, TUF. The Ultimate Force. It was. Yeah, tough.
Damn, I'm so glad you remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so bad with like certain names and crew names and stuff. But like, yeah, that was like he was like absolutely owning it in Vancouver, and then he left. And then the next generation in Vancouver was like the Groovy G's.
Yes.
And the Groovy G's, they learned directly from the Electric Boogaloos, and so.
And they were groovy,
yeah,
like
they were.
Jameson was my neighbor actually. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I would always walk this route to the SkyTrain, and I'd see him and run into him, or if he was practicing, or he'd be around other dancers. But at the time, before I was part of the dance community, he didn't know me, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's him from Groovy G's."
Yeah, he was like legendary back then. And like they were, I mean, like they inspired us too. You know, like they were. I mean, when we were graduating, they were like probably at their like peak of the crew, where they were like running events and showcasing a lot. So it was cool. It was just like we looked up to them a lot. But it was funny because when we started, we were doing animation, and they were doing more like boogaloo, which is just a funk kind of style. And there was like some tension between us because they were like, "No, you guys aren't popping," and like we were like, "Well, we are." Like, what do you mean?
You're like, it's evolving, and this is where we're taking it.
But I think that people back in the day, like I guess 10, 15 years ago, like there wasn't as much like knowledge about like what the difference between these dances, like difference between like animation.
Right.
Like a lot of poppers didn't consider animation and robot like part of the dance. They were like, "That's a separate thing. That's like a trick," you know, whereas like this is like the dance. But now it's like kind of it's meshed, where people are meshing boogaloo and animation together.
That's so cool. That's actually reminding me of shout outs to Kosi, who is someone in our community, international dance community as well. She has a really cool Discord channel. What's That Sample? Also runs that because she's such a big music head, you know? And anyway, she had posed the question that she recently heard someone, a younger dancer, bring up like the way they describe their dance style as hip hop animation. And then Kosi posed the question of like, what do you guys think of that labeling and that like the hybrids of genres like starting to emerge? And I ended up responding to that saying like, you know, before things become codified, like like animation becoming codified back then, you know, like you said, it was viewed as like it was a trick, not like its own style and culture, because it maybe hadn't developed yet fully into that way until like crews like yourself really started to take it on, you know? And so before things can be codified, it's like, for lack of a better term, you know, what kind of label could you use? It's like trying to describe like Flying Lotus or Little Dragon or these like, you know, music, or K-Tronada. Like when you first heard them, you're like, how do I even describe that? Like electronic, hip hop, funk, like, you know, for lack of better terminology, these like hybrid ways of describing things are just like being limited with the English language.
No, it's true. And like there's so many different subcultures within all of these things too, because like even with popping, it's like you have the boogaloo type of dance, but then like people, like if you're like a boogaloo OG, like you're like, oh, boogaloo isn't popping, it's like that's a dance, but then popping is like the hit, and so then they're like that kind of merged. So like those two things were actually separate, and then like waving had its own subculture, and like gliding and ticking and like robot and everything, like they were all sort of like had these subcultures that just, it's almost like it was all adopted by this sort of dance because it all just sort of worked well together. But I don't know what happened in history, but I kind of just feel like there was like a point where everyone's like, all right, that's enough. This is it. You know, this is the umbrella. But it was kind of like, what do you mean? Like you guys were all experimenting, and then it was like, all right, no more. And then now when people say like, oh, hip hop animation, it's kind of like, what do you mean?
Right.
It's like, why can't it work together? You know, like if you're a hip hop dancer and like you obviously have a good groove in your, you know, your foundation, but then you want to add in some ticks and stuff, it's kind of like, why can't you do that? I don't know. I'm a bit more open-minded about it, but in terms of labeling, that's when it gets like complicated, right? Because I think it has to be very specific, but I don't know.
Labels, man. You know, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Slash, like what I was saying in this, when I piped in on the chat, on the Discord channel, was just like, sometimes you just got to preface it with like, for lack of better terminology, you know? And like at the end of the day, the dance is something to be experienced and immersed in. Yeah. And like, it's so hard to describe something with words that is like ephemeral and just, you know? That's
true. Yeah, you can't really describe certain things, by just labeling it, because that's like a label is still limiting, right?
Oh yeah. Even when people hear the word whacking, they're like, "What is that?"
Oh, I know.
You know, it's just hilarious.
I think like whenever, so with Stance, I've had to post like you know, do titles and stuff, and like they're like, okay, make sure you do like whacking, but with an asterisk because this and this and this, and I'm just
the
like
politics.
What? What do you mean? But okay, sure. I'll leave it. I'm not gonna ask too many questions.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like they have their own. There's a battle there where they're trying to figure out what it is and stuff.
And that is the most inclusive way. I'm hungry. Have you eaten?
I'm hungry too.
Yes, good. Because I brought you some yum yums. Dun dun dun.
Oh.
Do you know what these are? I mean, you've definitely had them before.
Yeah, but is that seared salmon?
So you told me that you're non-denominational vegan, which just basically means you don't do dairy and you don't do meat, but you will do fish and you will do eggs.
Yeah.
This might be mayo. That's eggs. Never mind.
Eggs,
We're fine. Okay,
This
so
looks amazing. It smells amazing too.
Oshi sushi is basically pressed in a rectangle of rice with a meat thing on top. But in Vancity specifically, a chef named, it starts with an S. I want to say it's like Nakamura.
Right now.
Yeah, I know. And he made it aburi oshi sushi. So he like did the flame torch on top and created this signature style, which now every sushi restaurant emulates. And it's my favorite. And you know, they put a little bit of a mayo sauce on top.
Wow.
the what do you call this? Jalapeno. Go for it.
Thank
Dig
you.
in. And
Yeah, this looks so good.
and then yeah, they just like torch it, which is genius.
Honestly, if you torch anything, I just feel like it makes it taste like 10 times better for some reason. It gets a little crispiness, you know?
It's because you like the taste of carcinogens, fam. That's what it is.
What?
Carcinogens is the burnt
You're
stuff
just like
that's on top.
toxic, bro.
You just like things that are toxic. Gomae, classic, you know, boiled spinach with a sesame. I think it's more like a roasted black sesame dressing with a little bit of like rice vinegar, sugar.
We'll have some sugar.
I'm gonna go for a little bit of veg first.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
You know, get your iron on.
I feel like I've just had like bread today and like
Really?
snacks.
Bread for Wonder Bread? We're gonna talk about that. I
Oh
need to
my
know how you
goodness.
got your name. Is it because you're white?
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. Like, people just called me, like, I don't know, like, white bread.
Yeah.
Um,
Like in the dance world, like when you were coming up.
Yeah. Or, like, I don't know. It was just, like, kind of an inside joke. I was just the big white guy. But then it just turned into, like, one of my, I think it was Henry, He was like, you should just be called Wonder Bread. I'm like, I don't like that. I was like, that's kind of, I don't like it. But then over
Everyone
time,
kept doing
I don't
it?
know, everyone kept calling me that. And I was like, it kind of grew on me. I was just like, all right, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. Like, it's just like, doesn't really mean anything. But like, I kind of like that. I didn't want to be like, my name's like Twisto B or like B Frizzle or something like weird like that, where I was just like, you know.
Twisto B! Yo, that could have been your name, fam. No, but Wonder Bread there's no other.
There actually is.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Who?
Pretty sure there's a breaker and a crumper named Wonder Bread too. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah.
And is it because they're white?
No, they're not. Like, yeah. So I don't know. But Wonder Bread's also tough because I can't really like, you know, there's just too many complications with the company. You know, the company won't give me the name. I've asked them, but they're just like, no. Just kidding.
I loved Wonder Bread growing up. Did your
Really?
parents ever buy it for you?
No,
I mean, that was the choice back then, you know?
it was very sugary, but like, it was the cheap bread that was just like
That's
easy,
it.
right? Yeah.
And like, my mom would buy the Texas toast and we'd make French toast out of it. And that's what I liked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd get the whole wheat if you wanted to be quote unquote more healthy.
Oh, wait. With the butter. Yeah, honestly, like, I ate a lot of. I feel like I did eat a lot of bread back in the day, though. I loved like pizza
Pizza
pretzels.
pops.
Pizza.
Oh. What are pizza pretzels?
It's like a big pretzel, but like pizza seasoned. It has like tomato and like cheese and stuff. Yeah, I was trying to. But you like put it in the oven and it's like crispy, and then, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I'd be so much skinnier if I didn't eat those back in the day. That was like my diet. It was like that, like
Yeah.
Coke Zero and hot dogs. I'm just like, I don't know how I'm alive. You know?
Please don't tell me you still eat like that, man.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so funny.
It's bad. I mean, I don't really drink pop anymore. I like good, like, you know, soda water.
Oh yeah.
Sody.
Burb. No, wait, not burb. What is it
Bubbly?
called? Bubbly.
Bubbly. Yeah, like, yeah, bubbly's good.
A good old lemon San Pellegrino.
Lemons? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That LaCroix is also really good, but that one's more like bougie.
I'm pretty sure it's Le Croix.
LaCroix. Is it? I say it like a West Coast Canadian, like LaCroix.
I don't even know how you got to that accent because you didn't even pronounce the X. I would have expected LaCroix.
LaCroix. It's like when you say Arc'teryx, it's like, I just say like Arc'teryx, but people are like, oh, I really like Arc'teryx. I'm like, it's so clumsy of a name. It's weird.
Yeah. It's too consonants put together that are kind of funny.
Yeah, right?
Oh man, this is hitting. I was
This
getting
is amazing right now.
I was getting hungry.
I had, what's like the one dish if you were stranded on an island and you had to eat it for the rest of your life? Like, or like not dish, but like type of food. It could be like a genre.
That's so rude. That's such a rude question to ask me. Because I don't like to discriminate. And I truly appreciate so many different cultural foods.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
Okay,
Maybe Vietnamese, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if we're talking about, like, I'm on this island and I'm trying to survive as long as I can, longevity, for the longevity bod, I would go for Viet because it's fresh, like lots of veggies, you know, it's very healthy, and savory and delicious and yum, yum, yum. But if I was like trying to just like, I'm not going to live that long, it's fine.
Yeah. I'm dead anyway.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that. I think Greek food, Italian food. No, I think I'd live long with both Greek and Italian food. Like with real Italian food in Italy. Every person that I've know that has gone and traveled there, they have said like they don't experience the same kind of like gluten reactions or like food reactions of Italian food here because of the dough, the bread, the tomatoes, the like olive oil, you know, the olives, the actual ingredients that they grow is so much more better quality.
It's so like hand picked. Here it's just like you're just getting it off a store shelf and
it's traveled so many different places and blah blah blah, whatever else kind of stuff they put in it.
Yeah, I know. I think I would go Japanese food just because like there's so many dishes within Japanese food that I like love. If there was like, okay, what about like if there was like one thing you could pick and then make a meal out of it? Like for me, I would say it would be rice because there's so many different dishes you can make with rice.
This is true.
So like, what would yours be?
Oh.
No, this is making it harder, I think.
One ingredient that I don't know. Chickpeas?
You can make a lot with chickpeas.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a I can't say this word, strategic eater, because with chickpeas, I'm all like, where am I going to get my proteins?
Oh my gosh.
That's literally my question every day, yo, when I feed and nourish myself. I'm like, where am I going to get my proteins today? And chickpeas, you can do a lot with it. Chickpea flour, falafel.
That's true.
You know? It's deep in the proteins and very malleable of what you can do with it.
Hummus.
Hummus.
I think Greek food is the one thing type of food I just never liked. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Where have you eaten Greek food?
Probably not the right places.
Yeah, I'm about to judge you on that. Like,
yeah.
Who, where?
I mean...
/ you've never been to Greece then.
I think it's like, yeah. I think it's the type of like foods where it's like cold salads and stuff like that. And like, I don't love cold salads. Not cold salads. That's a weird thing to say. All salads are cold, aren't they?
No.
Like
there are warm salads.
I think Greek salad is the one thing that turns me off because I just like there's so many things in there where I'm like, oh, like I don't like cold olives. Like I don't like cold tomatoes. Like I love tomatoes if it's like I'm putting it on a sandwich or in like I'm cooking it into like a thing.
Yeah.
But if it's like, you know, I'm gonna put some cold tomatoes into a salad, I'm kind of like, ugh. Yeah, I'm weird like that.
Yeah, Greek salad is one of my favorite salads, actually.
I'm so sorry.
No, you know what? You're allowed to like whatever you like, and I'm allowed to judge you for it. I'm just joking. Okay, I want to ask you a question, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know, how did you get into documenting and videography and all of that, especially within our community? Like, when did that start for you? Or have you always been somebody who just like had a camera and loved to shoot things when you were young?
I would say it was that. I think whenever I had access to a camera, I would always want to make just silly videos, like whether it was like with a phone.
I was totally this kid too.
Yeah.
Windows Movie Maker? Were you?
Oh,
were
yeah.
You?
With Windows Movie Maker. And I don't remember like learning things. I was just like doing things where I'm like, oh, this would be funny, and then you like stitch it together. So it started off like that, and then like I just sort of was like always the guy in the group that loved taking photos. So whenever I would like go on trips, I would always be like doing BTS photos of like, you know, whatever. And of course, when Instagram came out, that's when I was like, whoa, I can share this now. I can just like pick up my phone and like show people where I am. Like, and it would always
And I have
be
6 fun filters that I could choose from.
my first like photo is like me sitting on like a couch outside with like the worst filter you can use, where it's just like that overblown vintage filter.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my god.
My first 2 Instagram posts were a picture of my meal
Yeah.
of rice and chicken and vegetables, and then the photo after it is the exact same photo but with a different filter on it.
You're like, I'm gonna post this twice because I like both filters.
Yeah, and that it was 2010 and we didn't know what Instagram would become, or
No.
like you had like 2 followers. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, not to get sidetracked, but
Sidetrack, go for it.
like Instagram was created by a photographer who was just like, I just want to create a place where people can share their photos and like share their memories and stuff. And then I think when Facebook bought Instagram, they sort of wanted to like introduce things, and then like the original owner decided, I don't like this, like
Yeah.
I don't like the way this is going, so he quit. So like there hasn't been the original owner of Instagram for like 10 years, and that's why it feels like Instagram is so weird now, where it's like they don't know what to focus on, and they're like, oh, like here's this, like we're gonna try this, and then we're gonna take it away, and it's like, so yeah.
They literally started buying everybody's platforms and then integrating it into one place. Like they did the same with Snapchat. I used to be so into Snapchat for like a year, and you know, I consider myself an early adopter of certain apps. Like I could see, like when I saw the value of Instagram, and especially like yourself, like someone who's inclined to like documenting life and seeing, yo, this is the platform to share with my friends without having to send a mass text or anything, or like share an inside joke of something visually, you know. And then would get on it, and then saw the platform evolve or like adopt these other things, and then Stories was essentially Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Back in the day.
Yeah, they didn't even try to make it different. They were like, we're also going to call it Stories. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's true, because it was Snapchat Stories.
Yeah, exactly. And like, but I think that's why Instagram, yeah, it started off that sort of desire to share, and Facebook too, because it's like, you can make more like long length videos and then share that with your friends and family. So I think it was just always the desire. I just had a desire to like capture things. And then I think when I got my first camera too.
Which was?
I had like an Olympus OEM1 or something. It was like an old, you know that camera?
Is it a DSLR?
Yeah. It's
Could
like
it shoot in video? Or what?
It shot really crappy videos and really small photos. Like it wasn't great, but it was like a fun camera to use.
Yeah.
And then I eventually got a Rebel T6S, which is like the classic like first camera that everyone gets, because it's good for photos, it's good for videos. Had that one for a long time.
Was that the series that came after like Canon T2Is and stuff like that?
Yep. It just pretty much went like Canon Rebel, and then Canon Rebel T2, and all the way up to, I think they have T8 now. So
crazy.
Yeah. But then that's like way before like mirrorless came out, where it's like now you're shooting 4K and all that stuff. But yeah, I think, and then, there was a lot of photographers that started posting their actual photos, like their real photography, like off a camera onto Instagram. And then that's when everything started shifting, where it was like this, like at first, it's so funny. Like, you know how like things change and everyone at first is like, ooh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
That's what was happening with Instagram, where like it felt like cheating when people would post like professional photos. They were like, I don't know if I like this.
Because it was supposed to be Insta
Yeah.
off your phone.
Yeah.
Huh.
So then everything started to become more like high level and like who can
Curated.
curated and who can post the highest like quality photos and stuff. So then I obviously jumped on that train. I was like, well, I want to post my photography camera, like my actual like DSLR photos on there. So yeah, and I did a bunch of things. Like I tried weddings, I tried corporate stuff, you know. And I think because I was so involved in the dance community, I was just like one of very few people who had a camera at the time who knew, and like there was, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 people. I remember like Diana David. She was like filming every single like battle at the time, and she was like always there. You could always go on YouTube and be like, I don't know, Funk at First Sight, Vancouver, and like watch these old videos, and like it was always Diana.
Yeah.
No, Diana Zoo. Sorry.
Oh,
Diana David,
yeah,
someone else.
yeah.
Diana Zoo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why it's Diana David. That's someone else. But Diana Zoo.
Yeah.
She always filmed every single battle, and was just like, she was like, that was the person to do it. And then me and my crew started hosting battles too. Like it was more of a fundraiser that AJ was doing, but
What was it called?
Battle Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I was like it was someone else filming at the time, but then I was like, oh, like I think I could like do a better job, and like I just want to try. So I was just like, I started filming our battles and like posting them on YouTube and stuff. So that's how that started, where it was like I was just doing it because I felt like I knew what to do, and I was like, I think I could do a good job at this. And then it's just, that's how it started. It was like 2012, maybe 13. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't know. It was a lot of just like where the need was. You just sort of like wanted to help.
Yes.
And like
fill that hole.
Yeah, and like put your skills in. And like it's fun because it's like, oh, like people wanted to also shoot concept videos and stuff. Like I was involved with like the choreography scene too. So they always wanted like concept videos, and it was like, oh, Bryce, you have a camera, you're good at shooting, let's film a video. And it just kind of happened. And I was like, oh, cool. All right, let's keep doing this. Yeah.
Where do you think, and this is a question actually from Too Tall, shout outs, one of your crewmates. He wanted to know, where did the passion for this come from, and what do you hope to do with it in your future?
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? It's such a big brother question,
That's
too.
a big question. Why are you doing this? Who do you think you are? I think I've just always liked film, and I've always just liked the art of photography, and like I love telling stories, I think mostly, because even when I was a kid, like I used to just tell these very elaborate stories with my toys and like set up these scenes and like act out movie scenes that I knew about with my toys. So there was always this sort of like imagination, I guess, I've had, where it's like I like sort of the storytelling aspect of it. And then I also just like the tech behind it too. Like I get really nerdy about camera tech, and then that just kind of merges together. Yeah, I think that it was just always something in me that I enjoyed doing, and it just felt like a good outlet for that. You know, dancing was one thing, but I think like actually telling a story and like filming it just felt different. And I guess like where I want to take it, like I don't know. It's like I think that for me, I've always wanted to do my own thing rather than sort of like, I guess, work for someone else. And like, so that's kind of where the passion for YouTube started, where it was like, oh, I would love to like make my own content on my own terms and like eventually get paid for it, or like make it into a career. That would be the dream. I think like having YouTube be full time, but that's just like still kind of a long ways away.
Bro,
Chipping away.
you definitely got more subscribers than us. Like, you're killing it.
Oh, thank you.
And the content is amazing. Like, I went and OD'd on your feed yesterday and the day before that, and I was just like, you were making all these videos that I didn't even realize you had made, you know? You unboxing, showing the gear, showing stuff that you're nerding out on, which is like, there's a whole market for that. There's a whole
Yeah.
audience for that. But also exactly what you were just saying, like the different stories that you tell, whether they're comedic or the more serious and cinematic ones, like the one that you had made with your wife and celebrating Valentine's Day. Like that was so sweet and also really just visually stunning.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and I support this. I think it's awesome. And, you know, even more so specifically to film our dance community and our international dance community, it's like when I used to run this video doc team for a festival I worked for in Toronto, there would be such a difference from the videographers who came from a dance background and those who didn't, because I found that those who understood dance because they were dancers themselves, they knew how to anticipate action.
Yeah.
They knew how to, and that would be the biggest moment where it's like, I was the producer, right? So I would see what they were shooting if we were covering a battle, and I'd have like a three different people shooting in different areas. I'd be like, the action's right there.
Yeah.
Like, not the B-roll now. Like, get the battle, you know?
Yeah.
And so that anticipating of action is just something that is so innate.
Yeah. It's funny, like, it does help a lot. And, I mean, people, I think, like, there's so many different dancers that have sort of, also do photography and videography, like Sean, like Boris, like Julian Visco. And, like, there's so many guys that have grown up in the dance scene and sort of just, like, it just makes sense for them to do it and, like, have them do it. I remember I was doing a live stream camera for, like, a Red Bull event, and, like, it was the production guys were like, I had never used the camera before. I was just like, okay, this thing's giant. I feel like I'm, like, shooting, like, an entire, like, you know, like a huge event. I was just like, this is weird. But I got used to it because I was like, okay, I just have to figure out how to focus, how to move my thing, how to, like, zoom in and stuff. And the production guy was like, he was getting so stressed because I didn't know what I was doing with the camera at first.
Yeah.
And he's like, just don't screw up, you're gonna get yelled at. And he was like putting all this pressure on me, and I was like, okay. But he didn't realize that I had been, like, shooting dance for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, like, when the thing started, I was like, everything was fine because I was just like, I just have to follow the dancer and, like, anticipate how they're moving, and everything was fine in the end. So I was kind of just like, oh, but if I didn't know anything about breaking, I would be, like, so stressed, like, just like, oh, where are they gonna go? Like, because you're moving with them, and then all of a sudden they push off and go this way, and you're like, whoa. So it's like it's a weird sort of, like, you kind of have to, like, you have to know ahead of time what they might do.
Did he give you props after?
No. It's just
Was he an old guy?
yeah.
Old guy,
like an old
camera
production
operators,
guy.
man. Yeah, exactly. They all have the same attitude.
I was like, just get me out of here.
Which event was this?
I was the Red Bull BC1 finals in LA.
Oh, that's fun. That was recent, no?
Yeah, that was in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I heard about this one. This was the one that happened in Venice Beach.
Yeah, that was
Sick setup.
It was really sick. Although the stage was too high, but that was in the
Like,
thing.
as in people, it was hard for people to see.
They set the stage up accidentally, like, too high, because there was, like, a miscommunication. So, like, the stage was, like, 6 feet tall. So, like, people sitting down were like, and, like, at first everyone was like, what is this? So, like, there'd be the stage, and, like, everyone would be so far back standing watching because it was funny.
Production things.
Production stuff. But it still looked good. It looked dope. It was really cool.
Speaking of being able to go and document, like, international huge events, you know, you've been working with Stance Elements, which, you know, they're a media company from LA, I want to say.
Yeah, it's originally from Daniel, Daniel and Han, and, like, a few other guys that, like, were in the breaking community. They were doing, like, this other, they were part of, like, these other production company at the time, and then I guess they moved on and wanted to do their own thing, and Daniel was like, let's do this, and they just started filming their own events, and it's called Stance Elements, and then over time, they grew, and they started showing up to more events, and I think that the difference that they had was that they were all breakers originally, and they knew everyone already, and they also were, like, really skilled in, like, production, so it was, like, the perfect package of, like, oh, like, it just makes sense to hire these guys for your breaking event. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
How did you get in with them?
It's like, a lot of like serendipitous moments, you know, like went to I went to San Francisco. I was like in between relationships. You know how it's like you break up and then you're like, what do I do with yeah.
I need to go meet some new honeys.
I need to go. No, I went and hung out with dudes and popped and I guess got super nerdy.
Yeah.
But I went to the Bay and I met this guy named Tech. No, actually, I originally met Tech at VSDF, and then he was like, if you ever come to the Bay, hit me up. So I hung out with him and a few other people. Shout out to Raul. We have the same birthday. We hung out, and then Tech was like, hey, there's this event called Freestyle Session, and they're starting like an All Styles room. They're like, do you want to come and film the All Styles room? Because we don't really have another person. I was like, sure. So I did that. That was 2017, and I was like very underprepared. And like, I think I did an okay job, but I was like heavily underqualified compared to them. So I was like stressed out. And then I even got sick on the trip too. So they were like out hanging out and having a good time, and I was like in bed. And I was just like, this is a bad look. So then like there wasn't really any communication after that.
Yeah.
I didn't really work for them again, which I was like, frick, maybe I did a bad job.
Yeah.
But I also just think I wasn't ready. And then 2022 or 3 rolls around, and I started filming with Hamuza, who's a dancer from the city.
Yes.
Because he wanted to like push his own dance. So we started posting, filming solo videos of him and posting them on Instagram. And then Daniel, who I guess I already knew, he reached out to me and was like, he's like, this is dope. Why don't you just post it on the Stance Instagram? And I was like, okay, sure. It was so casual. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, he added me to the group chat. He's like, just come in the group chat. And I'm like, okay. And over time, I'm like, does this mean I'm in Stance? But it wasn't like an official thing. It was just kind of like, oh, like here, you're posting on our page now. So, and I was like, okay, sure. And then it just sort of
You didn't get the official put down. You had to battle everyone. Like you just you got added to a group chat.
It just kind of happened. And then they were like, oh, we have more events. Like, do you want to film some more events? And I was like, sure. So, yeah, it just kind of happened.
Was this pre-Hamuza winning Red Bull Dancer style?
Yeah. So, like, when we started filming together, that was, like, leading up to that one. So then when he got to, like, Red Bull Dancer style, that was, like, when he, like, really made it. So it was kind of cool because me and him were sort of, like piggybacking off each other.
Like, or, like, pushing each other.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it was cool because then we both like did work with Red Bull at the same time and like had these very similar opportunities. We're not filming as much these days because he's doing other things, I'm doing other things, but it was like a good sort of like partnership at the time. Yeah.
Dope.
So it was cool.
So of all the places that you've been and all these like major events that you've gotten to film, like what has been your favorite and why?
This is so tough. I mean,
do you have one that like really stands out to you?
Probably Jack of all trades.
Ooh, in Montreal?
Oh, yeah.
Which year?
I mean, it gets better every year.
It's true.
Yeah. But I would say like last year was really dope because
As in 2024 or 2023?
2023.
I was there!
Yeah.
And that was really good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was good. And they have like a really good setup that like they have just a whole week of stuff, it's just cool, and like there's so many different things you can do, and like it just feels like a big community event. And I got to film there and like post some highlights from there on Stance and stuff, and so that was fun. And then I think the second one would be like going to Slovakia for this breaking event called Outbreak, and like it's like one of the biggest breaking events in like the world. Like there was everyone there. Phil Wizard was there. I think he won or came second. Came second in the 2v2. This was like literally right after the Olympics. Like I think that's the funniest thing about breakers is that they went to the Olympics and then they were like, all right, cool, on to the next thing. It was just like another event for them.
Yeah. That's their life.
Yeah.
Battles, battles, battles.
Like we were there was a nightclub after party.
Yeah.
And Phil walks in with his gold medal.
Yeah.
And like puts the gold medal on the DJ's neck. So the DJ's up there like DJing with the gold medal, and then Phil walks around with like these like bottles of liquor, and he's like filling everyone's mouth, and he's just like, it was the funniest thing ever. I was like, what is happening right now?
Oh my gosh.
So-
So you were there at the Olympics for...
Yeah, no, I wasn't there at the Olympics.
Okay.
Daniel was there, like Stance was there.
Yeah.
They gave them the absolute worst seats ever. They were like, here, you can go on the very top, and like, it is so far. But they still got some good footage. But yeah, it was
So
cool.
then, did you go like you went to Outbreak, and that was the event that happened after? For some reason, I thought you got to go. That you went to Paris.
No, they only took like a couple of people. It was like they were working on this for like a couple of years to get
Access.
because like the Olympics, they're really strict about that. So yeah, that happened. But then I think like a few weeks after, they went straight to, it was me and Daniel. They went straight to Slovakia, and yeah, filmed that event. And that was like a whole week event. It was fun.
Do you have any dancers that you're like, oh, this is like my dream to be able to like shoot a video with you, or a concept video or something like this?
That's a toughie.
I know.
I don't know. There's some like, I would love to shoot, like, this is so random. Like, I would love to shoot with like Kinjas, because I like the Kinjas. I feel like they do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I like actually shooting like choreography videos, because like they're usually really like, I don't know, they're like very different from freestyle videos, right? It's just like a freestyle video is like, boom, all right, dance, and then that's it. Because it's like the more focus is on the person, but then the choreography video is like, you know, it's more of like a set. It's more of like a whole like production kind of thing. So yeah, I don't really have any specific. I haven't like thought about that. I don't know. I've gotten to film with a lot of cool people, so like bucket list wise, I'm pretty like checked, I think, in that way.
Who's on that list?
Like I've filmed with like MT Pop. Like I really like filming with Pop and John. Those are the two biggest ones, I think. Just Pop.
Those are already big names, you know.
I mean, I got to film with Phil, which was really fun. Like with Film and Hamuza. That was a really fun one.
I don't think I saw that one.
It was like on the Red Bull. It was during BC1 like a couple years ago. But it was kind of just like a promo thing for the event. Yeah. That was cool.
Speaking of Red Bull BC1,
oh, that one's coming up.
That's coming up next Sunday.
Next Sunday, yeah.
Which is, exciting. The Vancouver qualifiers are happening here March 30th at Performance Works. And then the actual finals are happening in Montreal, I think, in April.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these events are always so fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see the breaking community really like evolve and grow, and also have this like platform to be able to like work towards.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that Phil kind of set the standard of like, you know, where we can go. Even if like it doesn't happen at the Olympics anymore, it's kind of like we pushed it so far where it's like, yeah, we can push it that far again, you know, even if it doesn't end up at the Olympics. So I don't know, because there's bigger events in the world, right, where it's like this is where the community actually is. So yeah, that's why I like these events too.
When you say the community, this is where the community actually is, do you mean to say in like the world of events getting so big and competitive that they lose that aspect?
I mean, like, I feel like the Olympics was sort of just like a big, it was cool. It's like, it was like, there was the community there, obviously, but like in terms of like where like you don't really see the televised version of it, like you don't really see like all of this publicity around it, you know, like when I think of like Outbreak or like BC1 or like Freestyle Session, like all these big events, it's like, you know, dancers come from all over the world to be there just to hang out and to battle, to cypher, to meet people. I just feel like there's so much community happening there. Yeah. Rather than like this is like a spectacle. It's kind of like you know what I mean. So, yeah. I mean that's like one thing. It's important, but I don't know.
I mean, it's really cool to hear your origin and come up story, and you know the formation of Heavy Hitters, and now you're teaching Gigabots.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You know, and you've evolved so much going from student to now like teacher. What what would you say is your relationship to dance now?
I think I had a heavy shift last year where I really wanted to focus more on being like a mentor and like teacher. Like I think I've done everything I've wanted to do in terms of like competing. Like I've been to like really big events and tried my best, and I'm like, hey, I went as far as further than I ever wanted to go. But now it's like I'm seeing a lot of value in teaching and kind of prepping the next generation of dancers. And yeah, like that's kind of what we're trying to do at Gigabots, is like teach them proper animation, proper hip hop, and showcase that on stage, you know, not just for the sake of like getting a medal, but like really just showcasing like hey, this is like, we're actually good at this. And yeah, so that's kind of a big focus for me, is not as much battling and competing, but more just like pushing them towards that stuff. Yeah.
How would you say your philosophy on dance has evolved?
That's crazy.
That was a
That's
too
a
tall
tough
question.
That's another too
It's
tall question.
what is your philosophy on dance, and how has that evolved over time? Toots.
Oh, Toots, man, why you gotta Toots.
That's big bro on you. He wants
Yeah.
you to really reflect on that and
Man.
say it on the live stream.
Yeah, dang. I would say my philosophy was always very competitive. I think growing up,
Before, yeah.
very competitive, very like performative. But I would say it's more of a lifestyle for me now, and it's more of like an outlet of expression. I still like performing. Like I still like the feeling of, I think some people gravitate towards like performing and being in front, but then other people, they just want to do it and move, and it makes them feel good. And like,
That's my type, me.
yeah, there's no right answer either, right? And like, but I think I just, there's always like some people push dancers towards one thing. They're like, this is where you should strive for, but I think I'm just always trying to help people like love the dance rather than like just, you know, drill them until they're like perfect and then eventually they hate the dance. You know, like I want them to be good, but I want you to like love it. I want you to still like love it as much as I do, where it's like I'm nerding out, I'm watching videos on my own time, and I'm like, it's a passion, right? So that's kind of, I don't know if that's a philosophy or if it's just mentality. I don't know.
I think it is. Yeah. I'll validate it as such. You'll get the...
Thank you.
This comes from Mexico, by the way.
I know.
Do you know about it? Who taught you?
Lily. Do you know Lily? She's the whacker from LA.
Yeah.
Or from Mexico.
Yeah.
She taught me. She was like, this is, and I was like,
it's like, I agree, or yes.
Yeah.
And it's usually because you're eating something and you've got food in your mouth and you're like,
shout out to Lily.
Yes. Well, you know, I think that's beautiful, Bryce, especially as you are evolving into this stage of your life where you are passing on to the next generation and to the youth. It's like, I mean, I grew up with not wanting to continue with piano lessons, even though I love the piano, because it was so drilled into me, like this idea of perfection around it, that it killed the love, you know, versus like you're approaching it from like, just want you to love it, you know, and keep loving it. And that's a beautiful philosophy and a way to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's helped me. Yeah, but okay, I'm glad it's a philosophy. I'm not just talking out of my butt here.
You were, but it worked.
Okay, good. That's how it usually happens for me. It's just freestyle.
Freestyle. Speaking of which, we are at our hour. An hour has gone by so fast.
Yeah, it did actually. Wow.
Yeah, it's been so nice to like hear more of your story, get to know you more, have amazing sushi, and
oh my
you
gosh,
know.
thank you for that.
I want to give a big shout out to Red Bull, especially Leo, our homie, who hooked it up and allowed us to be in this space so we could do the stream. You got to come out to this event. If you're in Vancouver on Sunday, March 30th, the Red Bull BC1 qualifiers. There's going to be some awesome breaking, and it's going to be fun. We're going to be there. We're going to be hanging out. But yes, this has been Bryce, Koebel, Kazi, and you have been watching Vancity Beats, Eats, and Schmore.